Go live. All right. So, Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Welcome to Wire Rush Racing. I'm Charlie Hawkins, and this is
Chris Underwood.
Chris Underwood. And yeah, this is Enduro Talk. If you can hear me, do me a favor, somebody out there, and type in "I can hear you" on the chat board. That'd be excellent. And so, yeah, let's get right into it. First of all, I want to say this again. This, as I said, is kind of a new thing. The reason I got into it is because I like listening to podcasts. And let me check this here. Yeah, we're still going. And sorry. Yeah. And I wasn't finding stuff that was really interesting to me. Do you listen to podcasts at all?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts on my way to work and back every day, but
all right, Kyle can hear us.
Yeah, good deal. I usually listen to Joe Rogan all the time.
Joe Rogan, so yeah. Joe Rogan Experience, you like that one?
Yeah, it's pretty insightful.
Do you listen to anything for motorcycling related?
Well, working in a dealership, I hear just about enough motorcycle stuff.
Okay, so no is the answer.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good way to learn all this stuff anyways. I mean, every day I'm talking to people, probably 5 people a day about motorcycle stuff, so
okay.
That's plenty.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm turning the right one. So, because for me, I was wanting to find out more about off-road racing. All I found was a bunch of motocross stuff, and so that's what got me into this. Realized, like, you know what, I can fill that vacuum of stuff. There was one that would kind of do it every now and then. Pit Pass Moto, they're up in Iowa. Have you heard of them at all?
Yeah, I think I've seen their channel or something before.
And but there's a lot of road racing, a lot of flat track. Still talked about motocross, and there was a little bit of off-road racing. So I'm like, okay. As long as I can talk more about off-road racing than them, I'll be good to go. Yeah. And so, here we are. We got this live show going on. We got the podcast. So there's several ways to hear us. First of all, of course, if you're watching now on YouTube Live, there's that. You can also be listening to me. Every time I start a new podcast, you can follow it or find it at Facebook. You can find it on Twitter on my accounts, Y Rush Racing. And then you can also go to Spreaker and search for Y Rush Racing and find it there, and it'll be there live. If that's not your cup of tea, listening to it live, because not everybody's schedule floats around Thursday at 8 o'clock on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
But
mine.
What'd you say?
I said just mine.
And mine apparently too. My wife had to work tonight, so it worked out.
Yeah, me too.
And so. You can always follow us later. Of course, YouTube. You can go in there, Y Rush Racing. There is also on all your favorite podcast source. Apple Podcast, on Google Play as well, iTunes or Stitcher, TuneIn. The only one I think I'm not on that's big is iHeartRadio, which hopefully soon I'll be accepted for that. I had to have a minimum number of episodes. So. If you want to listen to off-road racing at your convenience, whatever, there's lots of opportunities out there now, and we'll get more into that as far as more opportunities as far as with other people go. But let's get back to Chris. So Chris, I kind of forgot that. I guess your dad, Steve. And I didn't see you at the race this past weekend, but what got me thinking, like, I should call Chris Underwood is the No Bad Days. I had Ian on earlier, the first episode, and I saw you at the opening.
Yeah.
And first of all, I want to say this is a kid-friendly show.
Hey, I wasn't the one that said it. Logan said it, so he could have been your guest, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, Logan.
We upgraded from Logan.
We definitely did upgrade.
And here I am.
But no, so you were on there. I was like, Chris would be an excellent person to have on here because, one, we're going to talk about our race we had later on in the show. We'll talk about this awesome race we had this past weekend. Was it awesome?
Yeah.
It's one way to describe it.
I would say interesting is how I would describe it.
Interesting. How many times did you go down?
None until the 3rd lap.
Okay, when it started to get slick.
I crashed once really bad, and then it was about 10 on the last lap, I would say. I guess we can talk about that whenever.
Yeah, we'll get there, but stay tuned because it was an interesting race. And
I see Ian on there talking about that video is doing pretty good.
Oh, good. Excellent, Ian.
I told you, man. You've been cutting me out.
Wait a second. Because I asked Ian to be on this show too once his best friend, so-called best friend, bailed on me, and he said he's got Valentine's Day stuff. So what's going on, Ian? You got Valentine's Day stuff or not? What's going on?
He looks real busy. Right
Yeah,
now.
he does.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to, like, the thing that happened on the line with Logan, that's happened like probably 3 times maybe on the line, and me like telling Ian into the camera that I want to be on the video
really?
or whatever.
So
and
it finally made the cut.
Finally made it. I guess I told him, I think it was because of the threats. I've never threatened him before, and I think that's what really
finally got you in.
Yeah, that really helps.
Well, if you want to see the threat, it's on record. Just go to No Bad Day Films and check it out. So yeah, let's get back to you. So you're a AA rider. You're on the front row this past weekend. How long have you been a AA rider?
I think it's been maybe 2 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. Not very long. I haven't really been riding again that long.
Yeah. So because that's right. We talked before the show some. You didn't have a straight line progression of your off road racing. What was that?
I raced until I was about 10, which was some motocross, some woods, just, riding every weekend. Me and Cole grew up together riding, and then started playing basketball. And so I stopped when I was, around 10 years old, I would say. And I didn't ride again until I was 20 or 21, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, I rode a couple times with my dad. I'm just gonna
sit there right there.
when I was around 20 or 21, I rode one of my dad's bikes again, like twice, and then he told me the next day, or I think it was like the night before, I was sitting there with some of my friends, and he told me that he was going to race in the morning, and it was a hillbilly, I think. I think it was at Mansfield, and it was really cold. It was like 10 degrees, 15 degrees or something, and I'm like, I'll do it. And he was like, no. I was like, let's just get the bike ready. And so I went and I raced. I probably did terrible. I don't remember, but I've been racing since then again, I think. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I started in the C class, and then I moved from C to A, and then from A to AA after that. I think I only spent 1 year in the C and 1 in A.
Okay. And so now you're AA, and you're probably going to be there until you're like,
yeah, I'm waiting on that vet class. So.
I'm too old for it. Oh no, Dale Rector, he still gets bumped into the.
Dale don't ride no more, so.
So he doesn't at all.
He rides some. He just doesn't race much. But
when I see him, he's in the AA class. It seems like.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
That'll be you.
I'll probably still be racing the AA class, but like in the nationals and stuff, it would be pretty nice to be in like the A vet class or something. But there's still crazy fast people in
That's
that.
That's a stacked class.
Yeah.
So because I was looking. Well, we have a lot of our guys are in the A.
Yeah, like
whatever, 250 or
250, yeah.
And so it's wild.
Yeah, I ride A Open in the nationals, and it's like, if I get in the top 5, that's really, that's going really fast. Top 10 is good.
Yeah,
and
top 10, you're like top 20 overall.
Yeah,
it's
So yeah, it's crazy.
So in hometown, where are you from? Where do you live? Or
I'm from around Springfield.
Springfield area.
I live in Springfield now, and have since I was 13 or 14. So
yeah,
don't really plan on going anywhere else. So.
And then where do you work, or what do you do? Or
I work at Marionville Power Sports. I do all kinds of stuff there.
So I guess we've talked about Marionville Power Sports some, because you guys support people like James King. We talked on the first episode, and then Noah Clark, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
Most recently, you guys are Marionville Power Sports is like what, 20 miles east of or west of Springfield or so?
Yeah, it's like southwest kind of Springfield. Yeah, we do a lot with dirt bikes. It's just the nature of how long my dad's been around dirt bikes, and we just like doing stuff with dirt bikes, helping up and coming kids with dirt bikes and things like that, like Noah and James, do stuff with Travis and Nathan and them. So
Yeah. And then, so you guys are, is it just KTM, Yamaha? What else do you guys carry there?
we have KTM, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Polaris.
We don't talk about Polaris.
That's all I talk about all day. So
I know those things are taking over.
oh, I know that's all I talk about because that's probably 80% of our business.
It
at
is.
This
Wow.
point. Yeah. So
It's hard not to be in that business then whenever it's that demanding.
oh yeah, it's definitely important. And CF Moto and
What's CF Moto?
it's a really high end Chinese brand.
Oh, okay.
They're like I think they're the largest like engine manufacturer in China.
Really?
And they have side by sides and 4-wheelers. And then we have bad boy mowers.
Okay. And then you have some kind of Jeep looking thing.
Oh yeah, we have Mahindra Roxors, which Roxor. So Mahindra actually owns the rights and the molds to Willys. Initially contracted them to build it for the war.
Okay.
And so like in all the other countries, basically except for here where Jeep is, they make Mahindra makes like in India, they're huge over
like
there.
a Willy
And,
then.
yeah, all those Jeeps, they have a 4-cylinder turbo diesel in them. They're all
So the ones you
steel.
have are
Yeah.
turbo diesels?
Yeah.
Really?
So they're not street legal. They're like a side by side.
Yeah, because you see them and they look like an old
it
Jeep.
is because it's the same molds.
But it's
basically
not-
the only thing they really had to change was that front grille, like a Jeep has.
Couldn't have the vertical.
So it has it's pretty similar, but it has a little bit different. But the rest of it is molded, and Jeep was trying to do something about it, but there's really nothing they can do because it's not a street legal vehicle.
Okay.
And,
What makes it not street legal? Just
it
doesn't
doesn't
meet
have like airbags and
or doesn't meet the
things
modern safety standards.
Yeah,
No,
and
okay.
they did that on purpose. But they just bought the old GM plant in Detroit, I believe.
Oh, really?
And they're gonna be they have like I think the biggest plant in the U.S. now. And they just got contracted to make all the U.S. Postal Service vehicles.
Really?
So it's gonna be I think their plan is to be a car brand over here at some point, kind of like Hyundai or something like that.
Huh, so you can find all that at Marineville Power Sports and more. I go there for my parts, tires. Of course, I go to a couple other places around here town too. But you guys and Cole Hensley, if you call in and talk to the parts department, that's your.
Yep, that's a pretty good go-to on dirt bike parts. So, and we like to stock a lot of dirt bike parts. So,
oh yeah, if it's KTM, you guys got it, and you're the only source in the area that.
I see somebody said Alta, which yes.
Oh well,
we're an Alta dealer, and I hope at some point we are an Alta dealer again.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, somebody buys them or does whatever. I don't know.
I don't see how anybody.
There's not much to buy right now.
I just don't see how anybody or that company will go away. I think that bike was too good for how early it was, and I think somebody will buy it or could be currently buying it.
Could be. So I hope so. That'd be nice. Hopefully, he knows more than I do. Maybe I don't know, but yeah. So that they did. Do you have any Alta still in stock? Cause
no,
or did they take them back or
no? They actually let us buy them.
Okay.
Because they were on flooring at the time, so we got to buy them, but we did sell them. We do still have the 2 demos that we had that me and my dad were riding.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not really for sale or anything though, but I think it'd be really cool to have those still if they did never come back and one day you still had one. I think it'd probably be a collector's item.
For
so
sure.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
And then, so one thing I like to ask a lot of my guests is, all right, you got a day, it's a Saturday or Sunday, and you're like kicking back and like, hey, I'm going to go ride my dirt bike. There's a race I could go to. There's whatever I could go to with some of my buds. What's your ideal day on a dirt bike?
Just depends. I like racing and riding. I don't know. I change all the time. It kind of depends on the weekend, the weather. If my ideal would be somewhere other than Southwest Missouri, probably.
Okay. So you'd rather go to like a national race or something like that would be
other than the traveling.
You could just teleport there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was telling somebody not long ago, like I traveled more playing basketball, but I could fly there
Oh,
because you
yeah.
didn't have to have a bike. So that was definitely helpful.
It's definitely a bonus.
But I like I like riding. I'm a better fast rider than I am like a around here technical rider. So I like riding in like Texas or on the East Coast or anything like that, or somewhere that's not crazy rocky. I
Okay.
usually do well in that technical stuff sometimes just because I ride it all the time, but
Yeah.
it's not like my favorite thing to ride.
And you didn't go to the Sumter Enduro
No,
just recently.
the last 3 years or so, I kind of rode most of the national enduros, and I don't know, it just traveling that much is it's kind of hard, and we're open on Saturdays, so it's like a full Friday and Saturday off traveling,
Yeah.
and
And then you got a whole
so
butt to get back on Monday. No, you guys are off on
we're
Monday.
closed Sunday, Monday, yeah, which is awesome for racing,
Yeah.
but it's still driving that far, and so me and my dad just kind of decided this year we weren't going to really race any series, just race whatever we want,
Yeah.
and
Still do some national stuff or?
yeah, I'm gonna definitely do. I mean, the ones that are close.
Okay. What do you
And
consider close? Like 8 hours?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's relatively close. I think I'm gonna try to do the Oklahoma Sprint Enduro
Okay. The
series.
Okie Sprints?
Yeah. And I pretty much always race the Blackjack Enduro series, and like half of the Sprint Enduros are Blackjack, so it should be pretty easy to do both those series. So
And then your dad, in fact, is Okie is the it's a sprint enduro this year at at Hardwood Hills.
yeah,
Is that independent of the Okie Sprint or?
I I don't think it's an Okie Sprint. I think it's just a
Okay.
Blackjack, but I'm not for sure on that. But yeah, I think my dad.
His dad, by the way, sorry, is Steve Underwood, the owner of Marionville Power Sports.
Yeah.
So that's the connection. We keep saying dad. It's
Yeah. I think him and Kevin Hensley are supposed to be putting it on this year. That Blackjack. So
okay.
um,
I'm looking forward to it.
me and Cole are hopefully going to try to have some influence on the way that is set up as far as the sprint enduro goes. The Blackjack sprint enduros have been kind of different than like any other sprint enduro I rode, as in like the lengths of the tests are way longer, which to me doesn't make it a sprint enduro anymore. Like I rode a couple that had 12-mile tests in it. That's a long enduro test.
Yes.
And now you're in a sprint enduro. Not as much of a sprint
It's an
anymore.
enduro.
That's an endurance.
Yeah.
At that point, you're not just full speed at that point. So hopefully we can kind of make Mansfield like a shorter and more like a regular.
Well, I guess what is a test length? When we say shorter, it's shorter than 12, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so like the full gas sprint enduros are usually less than 4 miles, so like 3.5. Usually they're almost always both 3.5, but sometimes one will be 3.5 and one will be 4. And the way they do it is they have one test that's woods and one test that's usually a grass track or a motocross track if there is one there. So that is more of a sprint because it's usually way faster and way shorter. So but you don't have like I don't think you have quite as much time as in between like you would a regular enduro.
Okay.
Between tests, it's usually you ride one, and then you have like 5-10 minutes, and you ride the other, and then you kind of have a break, and you just swap between those two tests.
Okay. Neat. So what bike are you riding? Oh, wait. So what's the question here? So from John Ward, how is sprint format different than regular? Do you start individually or still on a row or what?
Yeah. So in a sprint, you do start individually. It's kind of in the blackjacks, the way they do it is like you just have a time frame and you just kind of go whenever. You just have to finish those tests in that allotted time. The way a full gas sprint enduro is though is you'll line up by your class and you go every 15 seconds. If so, after you've rode one test, they'll take your times, how you finished, and then they'll line you up that way.
So you actually have a starting time?
Well, you just start in that order.
Oh, okay.
Like they'll line you up in the order that you finished in your class.
Yeah. So you have a report time, I guess, and then they line you up and then you go.
You just kind of watch, like when the pros take off, then you kind of know like relative where your class, because it goes in order of. So then you'll take off, which makes it cool when
So
it's
kind of like a hair
that.
scramble too in that regard. It's like fast to slow for each. You say when you watch the class. Okay.
Yeah, that's how the classes go back, and then in each class you're lined up in how you finished. So it's kind of cool because you're not really passing anybody and you're not getting passed, because you should be in the right spot to where you beat the person behind you, but the person in front of you beat you. So
Unless somebody has a get off or whatever.
yes, and then you just adjust throughout the day, really.
Yeah.
Like if you were slow and then all of a sudden you're starting to catch this guy, then you just start going in front of him or something like that. So
But no, because you did a few full gas sprint enduros last year. And how many did you do on the Alta?
I just did one. On
Just the one?
Alta, yeah.
How many people, spectators, were walking across the track and not hearing you come?
Multiple.
Multiple.
It was definitely an experience.
You need one of those deer whistles on the fender or something.
I mean, I see the video and people don't see you coming. I guess it's just because they're waiting for that sound, but it's still like you can hear the chain and all that, so you'd think they'd hear something, but
they're not listening for a chain.
I guess not, because I definitely almost hit a few people.
Wow. So you're not riding the Alta anymore on a regular basis, I guess, at least. What are you riding?
Right now I'm riding a 450 XCF KTM.
450. Why? I guess one of my things is I always say bigger is not better. But for your case, I guess you're thinking bigger is better?
So I rode a 350 for 2 or 3 years. I rode Yamahas my whole life until I had a 250F, which is what I rode most of the time when I first started. And I switched to a KTM because I didn't really want to ride a 450 and I didn't really want to ride a 250. And my only option at that point was to ride a 350 KTM.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. However, I do run a Recluse. So a lot of people say it doesn't take the power down on a bike, but
you can run it a little higher.
I absolutely think it takes a little bit of power out. And so in the 350, it took a little bit too much power out for me.
Oh, really?
So I started riding the 450 and put it in there, and I think it tames it down. I think it makes the 450 a better bike, honestly. The Recluse does. It makes it a little bit easier to ride because the 450 kind of is a lot of time too much, especially around here.
Yeah.
But like I just raced a Black Shack down and
oh, you're at the Red Canyon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's crazy fast down there. And so the 450 was awesome down there, but
yeah, because out west the 450s rule.
Yeah, yeah. But around here it's totally different. I mean, like that hillbilly that we just raced, I was like, man, this is the tractor part of the 450 was good on some of that stuff, but I was like, man, I'm manhandling this thing around way too much. Like it's a lot to hold on to for that long in the mud and stuff. So
I could imagine. What other interests outside of motorcycling do you have?
Well, we were just talking about I play some video games.
Okay. He actually knew so for the streaming. If you're watching this live and streaming, he actually like, oh yeah, OBS. I'm like, how do you know about this? But through video games and whatnot, that's where this really is most popular. Isn't through necessarily live YouTube. It's through people live streaming their video games.
Video games, yeah. A lot of I've done a lot of computer stuff and things over the years like that, but I don't know. I was just telling him I played basketball for the first time in like 3 years last night, so maybe I'll start doing that again. I don't know. I don't feel so great today. So
I started playing back in like November or whatnot. First of all, excellent cross training, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is.
It is a whole body workout.
It's definitely different because I feel like I'm in okay riding shape.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not in basketball shape.
And so I play about once a week now with adults, and it's awesome. I love it. And because I've gotten basketball with my kid. He's 6, and I was playing with a bunch of 6-year-olds around my knees and shooting on 8-foot goals with a women's ball. Then I got to play with adults, and I'm like, oh man, this is a whole new ball game here.
Nah, you just got to dunk on the little
Oh,
quiz. It'll
yeah,
make you feel
there
a lot
go.
better. I needed that last night because I was not doing so hot. So
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, we've talked about so we kind of talked about it a fair number of times. The full gas sprint enduros. Last weekend was the first full gas sprint enduro of 2019. It was where? Oh yeah, it was
Carolina.
South Carolina. That's right. And I'm gonna call our special guest tonight, Thorn Devlin. Have you met Thorn before?
I may have. I don't think so. He's one of the, like I said, I think he's probably one of the people I know least about, as far as on the pro rider scene like that.
Well, I'm looking forward to talking to him. He is oh, that's loud.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry. Let's get this over with quick. Sorry, everybody at home. You heard that too. So yeah, he is part of the GasGas North America team, and he is tearing it up. He raced the NEPG round 1 as well. He was there. Let's see if he answers here.
Hello.
Thorn?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, this is good. This is Charlie Hawkins, and I'm here with Chris Underwood. Chris?
How's it going?
Hey, Chris. How are you guys?
Good. Yeah. So have you been watching us at all, or are we just calling you out of the blue? Okay. So,
yeah, no, I'm sitting here watching. I watched you dial my number, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Was it super loud for you too?
Yeah.
Well, so you live in Pennsylvania, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Tamako, Pennsylvania.
Born and raised?
Yep.
Awesome. Yep. And so growing up then, what kind of racing did you do, or what's your kind of scene, I guess, as far as what do you have to race in, and what type of series do you guys race?
So I grew up doing the ECEA series, the East Coast Enduro Association. We did mostly hare scrambles growing up, and so a lot of the pro riders actually came that you might know, like the Laffertys, Jesse Grome. There's a handful of them. A lot of those guys are from that series. So
okay,
we grew up doing that, and then once we all raced together, and then once we hit the AA scene, we still go at it on a weekend basis.
So how old are you, Thorn?
I'm 21.
21. Then, because how old is Ryder then, Lafferty?
I believe he's about the same age.
He is. So you guys, okay? Because you guys were you both in the? No, he's in Pro 2, isn't he? In the National Enduros, you're not, and you're in Pro 1. Is that correct?
Yes. I believe if he was to come to one, though, he would now be in Pro 1.
Oh, okay. That's right. He didn't race. He was signed up, but he didn't actually race this for round 1. That's right.
Right. Yep.
So, speaking of kind of growing up, I was kind of impressed to see this. Of course, this was before you. In 2017, you had a perfect score in the AA/expert class. Now, that was before they had Pro 2, correct?
Yep. Yeah, that was before then.
So you were like, I mean, you look at it and kind of look at the scoring. It was like you had the maximum possible score. That was pretty impressive. Did you expect that kind of season going in that year?
Well, I came into that season, I felt pretty comfortable. And I knew my speed was good. So, like, my goal coming into the first round was just finish on the podium. That was just my main goal. But I didn't, you're training in the off season. Nobody really knows where their speed is,
Yeah.
So it was actually my second full season in the National Enduros. So, and it was also my first season lining up under a team tent. So there was a lot of nerves, as expected. But once I got that first round over with, it was a lot easier for me to relax and just focus on the rest of them and just ride like I know.
So, by having just straight wins, you kind of wrap up the championship relatively early. Did you have pressure on yourself? You're trying to push yourself to try to get a perfect season, or did it just come to you kind of naturally once you realized you had the speed?
It kind of just came naturally, quite honestly. Like, wasn't focused on that, you know?
Yeah.
And like every round I wasn't going for the class win. I was more going just for overall. So,
Overalls. Okay.
yeah. And I mean, even going like into the last round, I could have gone bumped up to pro, but I really just, at that point it was like, let's just do one more. I want to shoot for the perfect season, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
So,
What bike were you on at that time?
I was on a Husqvarna TX 300.
Yeah, you were racing for which Husky team was that at the time?
That was Air Group Enduro Engineering. Yeah. So, but I didn't even have like that year before that. I did like two national enduros, and we did mostly locals that year because I was just trying to focus on getting my speed up. And I came to two national enduros, and the first one I came to, I raced AA, and I ended up actually third overall on the day. So that was like a huge.
So you had a podium.
Wow. Yeah, and it was like it kind of threw everything off as far as like podium pictures and all that, but because they quite frankly, you know, I didn't even know. It's not like I came in AA knowing I should have been in pro. I didn't do a national enduro in like a year or two, so I was like, you know, I thought that's where I should be, AA. So once I did that, it was like I had to go to the next one and just kind of like see how I did again, and if so, maybe back that one up. And so I ended up in the top 10 again, but so that was like a big part of helping me get a ride as well.
Yeah, I could imagine.
So.
Yeah, I can't imagine winning 9 straight in a national enduro period in any class. I mean, it's with anything that can go wrong or anything like that, it's pretty rare, I would say, in any class.
There was like so many variables in it that my dad and I always talk about it, and not trying to be cocky about it or anything, but I mean, like as far as like on a mechanics standpoint, I mean, you got to have a guy who knows what he's doing, you know. So thankfully I did, and you know, we didn't have any issues, and so it was like everything just clicked that year, and just ended up being a great season.
Yeah, especially at that level with a bike making it every single race and being able to, and nothing going wrong. It seems like at that speed or anything like that, there's always at least one thing that can go wrong.
Yeah, it was. It's a good year to look back on for sure.
So we went from 2017 where you covered undefeated. Then 2018 you had, I guess you didn't race until the later of the season. Did you had an injury or something like that at the beginning of 2018?
Yeah, So I finished up the year with Air Group, and then I had gotten a deal signed with GasGas, and so that was in like November, and then going into, it was probably like 2-3 weeks into January, we were going down into testing, and like first day of testing, not even like 3 hours in, I had just gotten in. I just had drove in, and just a freak accident, clipped the tree and just fell over, and I tore my ACL, ripped it up pretty good. So I went home and obviously got surgery, got everything fixed up, and so I just, I was out for the year, and thankfully GasGas was behind me 100%. So I was able to take my time to recover with it. And so then I came back into the year a little bit late, and then did about, I think, 2 national enduros.
So during that time, I mean, did you develop in other ways, or obviously you couldn't be racing and on your bike, but even as far as, mentally or anything like that, were you able to, I guess, kind of think about be able to develop at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Like patience was the major thing. If I could have written down everything I've learned week by week, I would have a book by the end of it.
Yeah.
But it was really tough. I mean, like the injury in itself wasn't the hard part. It was just one of those injuries. Like it's a long process. It's 6 to 9 months is what the normal thing is, and as they say, up to a full year till you're back to 100%.
And that's probably the longest you've ever been kind of relatively inactive, I imagine, too.
Well, I've never had like a legitimate setback injury. So that was kind of, I would have to say that was kind of like played a key in it because, I mean, I began racing at 6 and I've never had a serious injury. So, I mean, I turned pro on a clean sheet and I was coming off an undefeated year. So I guess in a sense you could say I felt invincible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So just not being smart about it. And, you know, that's what separates the top guys from just making those little mistakes. So, I learned so much, and even just at home, you know, just being able to like appreciate that little time you get, you know, cause now I'm on the road. I've been on the road for almost going on 2 months. So it's like having that time at home is nice. And just a lot to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just for our listening audience or viewing audience, I was delayed on putting, this is Thorn here, the picture in the middle, ripping it up. I think that was from South Carolina, or I don't know. I forgot where that photo was from, but
Indiana.
Awesome.
Yep, Indiana. That was my first national enduro back from my knee injury.
Oh, okay.
It's a good one to go to. That's like one of my favorite places.
Oh, yeah. It was fast.
Oh, was it this last year, 18, I guess? Yeah, that was definitely the fastest one I've ever been to. Probably the fastest race I've ever done.
Yeah, I think our watches had us clocked at like 70 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I've never, I don't know if I've ever tapped a 450 out in a race, and I did it probably like 6 or 7 times that race.
What on earth? I mean, was it just a road you're going down?
Bunch of cornfields.
Oh, seriously?
There's nothing really to worry about. I mean, there's no rocks or anything, so you just
speed wobble.
Hold it wide open until you start wobbling.
Just pin it.
Yeah. Huh. So you're with GasGas. Is it GasGas North America, or what team are you on currently then?
Yeah, I'm on the factory GasGas off-road team.
And then, so you started with them in 2018, and you're going continuing with them into this year as well.
Yeah. So I originally signed a 2-year contract. So it was good for this year, and then some things changed team-wise and like manager-wise and everything. So I had signed a new contract, and it was just for the same agreement as 1 year. So my contract's actually up, and I think December is the end date. But yeah, that's who I'm with now.
Okay. And so, what bike are you on?
I'm currently on a 250, so XC250 GasGas.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, but that's the 2-stroke then, right? 250.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we have.
Yep. So.
We have a dealership just up the road from Springfield that sells GasGas. That's the LSK of, is it Lebanon or just Lebanon. LSK, Lebanon or whatnot. And there's been lots of positive reviews coming out of those guys, and of course everybody's.
Yeah. Suspension's good, I'm sure.
Yeah. Whose suspension is on those bikes?
It's KYB.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why it's always going to be good if it's KYB. I think the KYB is supposed to be slightly different than Yamaha's KYB, though. Is what I was told.
That come on the GasGas?
Yeah. They have slightly
I believe
internals.
I believe they're. Yep. Yeah, I believe so too.
So
I'm not positive on that, but that's what I believe as well.
Then did you ride GasGas at all before, or just start in 2018?
I had ridden one that I had gotten. It was actually a shop demo that I tried before I was with the team or anything. It was in like 2017. I had no connections or anything. It was just riding it, and then 2000. I got a bike late 2017, probably end of November. So that's how long I've been riding one since.
Okay. And then right before we called you, so we were talking about kind of your season so far. You've done the National Enduro, the round 1 at Sumter. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
How did that go? Or can you tell me a little bit about what went on there with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we ended 5th on the day in Pro 1. Wasn't a bad finish, and it was a good start for the year. I've got a few new things going on this year as far as the main thing being a mechanic. I have a full-time mechanic for me this year that's just directed on me. So that's new in itself. And
does he
travel
a little bit
to adjust?
Does he travel with you then too?
Yeah. Yep. He travels to the races with me, mostly the National Enduros, and then the full gas sprints. He might make a few, but he has some other obligations. But so that in itself is a little bit of to adjust to, because you got to be able to relay information and most importantly, just get along and be able to click, So thankfully we do, and we've gotten along since day one. So, but yeah, we had a really good first round. We had a lot to build on as far as just little stuff on the bikes, like brake fluid and all that simple stuff. But you learn it real quick, and so going into the next weekend was the full gas sprint. So you take that information that you learn there and just carry it into the next weekend. So it was good to have it, get it out of the way, and still come out of the day with the top 5.
Yeah. How did you like I guess somebody was saying, we think our woods are tight around here. I remember somebody down in Arkansas saying we thought our tracks were tight, but it was real tight over there in Sumter. How did you handle that? Those I guess the real tight stuff there. Is that something kind of your forte, or do you like a little different stuff?
Well, most of the times it is, but I've tended to always struggle in like the real fast, kind of the GNCC type. So I spent a lot of time in this off season on mostly like a motocross track, and we rode it for like a month straight, and it was like barely ever prepped. And we wanted that because that was my focus, was to just try to up my speed in there. And I had focused on it a little too much because I needed to get in the woods a little bit more. But yeah, it was pretty tight. But more importantly, it wasn't the tight that bothered me. There was a lot of face slappers. Like there was a lot of overgrown stuff that you're just getting whapped in the face, like everywhere.
Yeah. So is that from taking hotlines or just the normal?
No, that's normal. That's normal gig. I mean, there was a few guys saying that, the getting slapped was pretty intense, and a lot of there were a lot of unique lines as the day went on, as far as they definitely used some older trail and stuff, but the main trail was pretty overgrown as far as a national would go,
Yeah. So that was like kind of in comparison, I'm used to the trees around here in Missouri where they're, and kind of I think out in your direction too, they're not just real stiff, right? If you brush up against them. Have you done the Zinc Ranch out in Oklahoma? Have you done that enduro?
Yeah, and I know exactly where you're going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Those trees do not let go.
Yeah, my arms have never been the same after that.
Wow. So yeah, because I'm behind you guys quite a ways. I like to be like row 50 or back, just because I don't want to get in the way. And so there's a lot of hot lines burned in, and I'm used to Missouri where you can kind of just put your head down and go through trees, with a few cedar trees being an exception maybe. But wow, I went out there and come back with a ripped jersey.
They definitely look like they're going to move. But
yeah.
You learn pretty fast.
So, and they'll lay off the bike too. Mm-hmm. Like they don't move.
Yeah. Wow. So you went from that to full gas sprint enduro. How'd you do there?
I ended the weekend 4th in Pro 2.
Okay.
Best way to put it was just it was just a good, safe way to get out of there in fourth.
Oh, really? How's that?
Yeah, it was, we did the first loop right away to start the weekend. And as soon as you're going on it, I'm like, boy, this is going to get rough. And as it did, it was square edge and big rollers and everything. But
was it pretty sandy, what led to the getting rough?
Yeah, it was pretty sandy. I mean, that place is, they don't use a lot of real estate at a full gas as it is. So, I mean, that was also their I think they hit like 400 riders or something, I believe.
Oh, and you did the same test how many times?
Two tests, and you do the same one.
So it should have been 12 on the weekend.
Yeah, 3
each day. Yeah.
So I guess you would have. Well, so I guess you would have done the same trail 6 times. Is that right?
Yeah, it, and in total it would be 6 miles. So
that's like 2,400
guys.
Yeah, that's like 2,400 riders going on the same trail if you're the last guy. That's a lot of tires. So
yeah, it got really, really whooped, and the dirt there is really odd. It was like concrete in one section, and then it was like real powdery in another section, and then back in the woods it was kind of like a not a clay, but like a mixture of a sand clay.
Okay. And just real quick, any of our listening audience, if you have any questions for Thorn, go ahead and type them up there, and I'll try to get them onto him as I see them. So, and then so you said you came away with fourth in Pro 2. Did you have any expectations going into the race of where you thought you might finish, or you're pretty happy with fourth?
Yeah, no, my plan was definitely to get a podium.
Okay.
But this was my first one ever, so I knew there was going to be a lot of challenges in it. I knew you can only read so much on it until you get there and just start to do it, and you're like, okay, starting to figure it out, But as an enduro rider, I was doing really well in the enduro stuff, and I would make up a lot of time. And then as soon as we would hit the cross test, I was struggling, to say the least.
Yeah, you get out there against Caleb Russell on a motocross track. That's or Josh Strang or any of those guys. They roll on a motocross track.
Yeah, definitely. And
how do you feel about the cardio aspect relative to like a national enduro to a sprint enduro?
It didn't feel too much different to me, quite honestly. There was just a lot of breaks in between.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The thing that I always thought was kind of different was the, people think if you look at mileage wise, you don't really ride very many miles in a sprint enduro, but the intensity that you're riding at, I'm always usually more sore after like a sprint enduro, which is like half the miles than I am in an actual enduro, just because you're riding that much harder and the trail gets so beat up.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you train? I mean, I guess you're doing all kinds of racing, so I guess you wouldn't really train as far as cardio goes differently for one series versus the other. Am I correct on that?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's just kind of a mix of both. I mean, you're doing 2 days of racing, so you're going to need that endurance at the end of the day,
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a question here from John Ward, and we're going to do a little promoting for our area. Have you heard of the 100-miler, the Ozark 100-miler?
I have. I've been pestered to do that one many, many times.
No, we are not pestering. I mean, we're okay. Well, anyways, we're going to pester you one more time. We would love to see you down here, Thorn.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way. There's always guys messaging me. It's actually the same guy. He always messages me, and he's very cool about it. He's always, come on, man, you can stay at my house, and he's so, it's cool, but I got to get out there.
I imagine I know who this is, and I
think I know.
And I think I actually offered him to come on today because my original co-host bailed on me, and I had to find my backup. So Chris was fortunate enough to come in, and he's killed it. But But yeah, so I imagine Jordan is probably the guy who's been messaging you, because he's one of the hillbilly bosses, and super news.
Is his last name like Whitmire?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Whitmer.
Yep.
Yep.
Whitmer, that's it. Yeah, that's him.
So, but no, we'd love to see you. We'll give you some Southwest Missouri charm. But
it's in like November or something, right?
It's the same weekend every year. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving is when it is.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
See, that's a tough. It's a tough time, like, because I know from just this past year that was a tough time for me, because I would have liked to make it, at least one of them, but that time of year is like, the season winds down, and so you're getting rid of bikes and you're getting new bikes in, and so there's like it's literally in that area.
It's the perfect time to bring your bike you're getting rid of down here and ride around.
That'll be a really good time to get rid of it after that.
You got to sell it right before you take it.
Yes, exactly. So 2019, what all do you have going on? We talked about the national enduros, the sprint enduros. Are you doing GNCCs? You said you're doing a lot of faster stuff, training wise.
I plan to make a few, maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3, if that. But yeah, I'm gonna do the national enduros, the full gas sprint, and then the ISG qualifiers, and then of course local stuff.
So you're gonna be down in Mississippi this weekend then?
Yeah, I'm actually in Alabama right now.
Oh,
so
you are?
About like 2 hours. I'm about 2 hours from there.
Oh, right on. Well, good luck to you this weekend. We'll have if you see Nathan Rector or James King, tell him we said hi. They're 2 local guys for us.
I know James.
Everybody knows
dad.
King James. I mean,
Did
the self-promoter extraordinaire.
did I get his name backwards?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Definitely King James.
King James.
King James.
Sorry. No, James King. I said it right.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So have you gone to the ISDE before, or is this is a new thing for you?
This is new for me. It's like a huge dream of mine. I've always wanted to do it, and so I get some help through GasGas to go.
Awesome.
As far as bikes go and stuff. So it's like,
where is it this year? Where?
Portugal.
Portugal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's, because GasGas, are they still Spanish? Or they got bought out, but that's considered.
No, they're in Spain.
Spanish bike. So you'd be next door, and so I could see why they would want you over there for sure.
Yeah.
A lot easier to get bikes that way.
Yeah.
And I think you can work out of I don't necessarily know, but I think you can get some support out of their factory rig that would be there, as far as parts and stuff would go. I think
that'd be nice. And then, so essentially, what you're saying though is you're going to try to compete all of the national enduros and all of the sprint enduros, and then hit and miss here or there. Awesome.
Yeah, those for sure. Those are I'm contracted to do those, but those for sure. And then I want to do some definitely want to do like 1 or 2 for a couple of GNCCs. But
do you have any particular in mind that you want to try to hit?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's ones like in New York, something kind of closer to me.
Yeah.
That I don't have to travel too far because I do that enough. So
yeah, well, but make it feel a little better though. They're all a lot closer to you than they are to us. Yeah. I would love to hit somebody. I think the closest one's like 9 hours away. So
holy smokes.
Yeah. So they're on my bucket list, but I haven't got the van out yet and traveled that far. So
yeah, I want to make some. Like there's the Tough Like Roar. That's actually in my town.
That's right. Yeah.
And then there's also what's it called? Like J-Day. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them. They're not too far.
I've really wanted to do one of those.
Is that a series or what is that?
It's a series.
Yeah, it's a series. They're 2 30-minute motos, but they're like a 3-mile woods loop that
it's got like basically everything in it.
Yeah. And they skid steer everything, and they have the thing they call the Kenda Senda. It's usually just a big jump.
Huh.
Yeah, it's you should definitely check some videos out on it. It's
So it's kind of like
fun.
it's kind of like taking a sprint enduro and like mixing it into one test.
Yeah, it's more like a moto, but it's like they have like kind of some enduro stuff, and then they'll have like, I think most of the time they have some motocross stuff, but they just run like a skid steer through the woods usually.
Oh, really?
It looks real fast, and they kind of just like tape off a section, and you're just kind of riding through is what I've seen, but they're just way too far away for me. But I really want to ride one at one point.
Yeah.
They had one down in Florida
they go quick.
that one time, I think.
They had what?
I think they had one in Florida one time, which was really far away from where the rest of them are. But I think it was like during Daytona, when all those races are going on. But I don't know if they've had that again.
So you said you have done a Tough Like Roar again in the past? Or
What's that again? Sorry.
The Tough Like Roar, you've done those. Have you done it a few times or just once? Or how was your experience there?
I've done it twice, I believe. Yeah, it was good. I did the first year that they ever did it, and then I did the second year. And it's getting harder and harder every year. It's something else. It's definitely they do a lot of qualifying and stuff for it, like on Saturday. So if you were to go out and ride this stuff fresh, I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but it's also, you wouldn't look at it and be like, this is impossible, because you're fresh. But you come into the main event and you're like, you're half smoked on the weekend, and the stuff just seems so out of hand, but you're just so tired,
That's in a lot of ways, you're kind of talking like the 100-miler too.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it progressively gets harder, and then the night moto is really hard.
After doing 75 miles.
Yeah, you're very tired at that point.
Yeah, and like you said too, it's getting harder and harder. None of these races are getting easier. I don't know why, but I need them to get easier to come down back to my level. But it's people like you, Thorn, that are just keep making it harder for us. So stop it, please. So
yeah, I don't like when who it was. One of the pro guys showed up. I think it was a Baylor, or it might have been Toth or something. One of them showed up and they asked how it was at the end of it, and they were like, "Yeah, it wasn't bad." And I was like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that."
Yeah.
Oh, because they're going to step it up for next year. Yeah,
it just got 10 times harder for next year.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of racing all over. What's one of your favorite places to go to?
Marquette, Michigan.
Okay, what's there? I don't know.
The National Enduro. They have the one up there, and it's up in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, it is.
It's sweet.
Are you going to ride the that ISD? And there's one. Is there one in Michigan this year?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I rode that one. I think it's at the same place. I rode that one last year, and that was probably one of my favorite races that I've ever rode. Michigan's such a fun place. All sand. They had
oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
The cross test at that is like a 3-mile huge motocross track, all sand, and it's kind of like more like a European outdoor track. There's no like real big jumps. It's all just like elevated sand.
Yeah.
So you did a sprint enduro up there?
Yeah, it was an ISD qualifier last year. I just went with James, James went with me, but I wanted to race it, and it was super fun. So I might just go ride that just for the fun of it this year because it was that good. So
it sounds like, Thorn, you got to go back a few times this year and race that.
Yeah, Marquette.
So is that in Pine Forest then, or what is the woods there?
I don't.
Go
ahead.
In the National Enduro, it's just like really nice. The dirt is amazing. It's kind of sandy in some spots, but it's not like super sugar sand. You just can layer low in like every corner, and then they actually have some rocks. Like usually the last 2 sections are pretty rocky, but it's so nice up there. Like it's beautiful up there, but the trail is just that perfect mix of like tight but fast.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So maybe one day.
So,
You just added another race venue to my bucket list that I'll probably, hopefully, someday get to.
yeah, they only do it every so often too. It's not one that's on the schedule every year.
Oh, not regularly. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way to keep up with you and what you're doing? Oh, so? Do you know somebody named Thorn Devlin?
That's my little brother.
All right, he wants to know, what row were you on when you took third at the Rattlesnake National Enduro?
89.
Hey, whoa, no way. So
Yeah.
you're 50 rows behind.
He might have known that answer already.
Yeah. Wow, that's.
Yeah, I think he's promoting that one.
Yeah, he's trying to hype you up right now.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, that I'm sure you
He
probably
tried to be
do
sly,
pretty
but
well.
he didn't know his last name was on there.
Yeah, you probably do pretty well at the Rattlesnake, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's still like about 3.5 hours from me, but it's still somewhat like home, you know.
That's is that part of the series that you race or you raced growing up as far as the enduros go?
Yeah, they actually used to do like hair scrambles there, and then I believe they stopped. But I think it's like there's the ECEA Enduro portion of it, and you go there, and like I think you can get some points if you go to that round as an Enduro rider for there. So,
all right. So back what I was asking is, how do we keep up with you as far as what you're racing or how you did, or just when we see some totally awesome shots of you just tearing up the corners?
I'm pretty active on social media, so like Facebook and Instagram. I'm just under my name, Thorn Devlin. You can find me on there, and
that's how I found you. I just typed in Thorn Devlin. I'm like,
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, because you have a pretty good shots. You see the photo here that Chapman took, but you look fast. That's all there is. You on that GasGas, you look fast and sharp. You're well dressed. It seems like.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to Darren Chapman. He gets some amazing shots. He's always sending me them, and he helps me out a lot with that stuff because, you know, to have a clean shot like that to post is huge, and it looks professional too. You know, I can have the slowest day and he'll make me look fast.
Yeah. So, and then do you have any sponsors that you'd like to give a shout out to, or who helps you get to these races?
So yeah, definitely the entire factory GasGas team. It's the support they give me is unreal. But I have a few sponsors: Fegley Oil Company, Moose Racing, Midas, Coppersmith Suspension, HBD Graphics, Spectro, FMF, Recluse, Bulletproof Designs, Galfer, Nitro Moose, Evans Coolant, XC Gear, IMS, Zip Tie, Motion Pro, Arc Levers, Samco, SKF, TM Design, C Concepts, G2, Ergonomics, CD, 100%, and Bell.
Wow, you are set up.
Did you have that written down, or did you do it off the top of your head?
I had to. I had to type them down.
I gave him a heads up too. Yeah. So no. So yeah,
I had to type them down, and yeah, it's rough when you know, I came back from my injury, and the first hair scramble I came back to, I was fortunate enough to get the overall, and they had asked me, who would you like to thank? And I drew a complete blank because I didn't have to do any of that for like 8 months. And I was like, I'd like to thank GasGas. I couldn't remember anything.
Wow. Yeah. So we're looking forward to following you this weekend down in Mississippi. So that's on Live Laps. You can find that race. I think it's Surma. Is it Surma? I wrote it down here. I think. Yeah,
I believe so.
Southern Enduro Riders Association. So yeah, if you go on Live Laps, this is it Sunday or are you racing Saturday and Sunday, aren't you?
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
So yeah, you go on live laps, you look for the Surma, black yellow background, black letters, and you can follow Thorn live results, and along with our two local guys, James King and Nathan Rector. Thorn, thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I do wish the best of you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you guys, and I really appreciate it.
Likewise. So good luck this weekend, and we'll keep an eye on you, okay?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Cool dude.
Yeah, pretty cool dude.
So yeah, I couldn't imagine. He's that's like as a 36-year-old, still my dream. It's never going to happen because I'm just way too late in life.
Yeah.
But just living the dream there. So.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I mean, that ship sailed a long time ago.
Yeah. My ship never even got to port to sail off. So, but no, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it because the people are still following their dreams is the James Kings out there and the Nathan Rectors, and so looking forward to see how they do, and then just keep on keeping on, Thorn. So, good luck. So yeah, we talked a little bit about the Sprint Enduro this past weekend. Mentioned Caleb Russell. He killed it, of course, as he always does.
Yeah, he does. He does that pretty good.
He struggled a little bit. I think he had a few issues on Sunday as far as get-offs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But he didn't win. He didn't go 1-1. He went 1-2.
2, yeah.
But still enough to win the overall for the weekend. Now, do they score those? Because it sounded like James said they score them independently at the end for like this year-end points.
Yeah.
So do they have an overall for the weekend, or they have like two overalls?
They do have an overall for the weekend.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know as far as like this weekend for the ISDE will be scored individually.
It will be.
Like qualifying for ISDE, it's each day is its own day.
Okay.
Now, the way the awards have always worked at the Full Gas that I've been to have always been for both days together.
Okay, so there's an overall for the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, because James could only make, I want to say, the Sunday race this past weekend.
Right. So like his overall wouldn't have, if he had won or something, it would still show him behind by a day.
Yeah. Okay. And then so that was with Caleb Russell won, and then Josh Strang, the Australian, and second, and then Josh Toth, who we heard about a little bit smack talking about Tough Like Roar, he got third. So I got that's kind of funny. Is that wasn't much.
Yeah.
For a guy like Josh, maybe.
I agree with him. I don't think you should ever say that. I mean, why do that to yourself?
Yeah,
it's super hard.
He won't be back next year. He just make it miserable for everybody else.
Yeah, he hated it and wasn't going to come back, so he just said it.
Yeah,
it was easy.
And then for Pro 2, now this is one thing I kind of find surprising is like I don't understand how Pro and then Pro 2 are split up because like Evan Smith was second last weekend or the weekend before at the National Enduro, and then here he is running Pro 2. Is it just personal preference? You can kind of do whatever, or?
Well, I don't know how Full Gas works in that way. I do know how the National Enduros work, and they move people if necessary. So I don't know how the rules apply as far as Full Gas go. I would assume it'd be the same, that they would move people up, but it may be that Evan Smith hasn't raced him before. So he's still able to be in Pro 2, and then they may move him to Pro 1 next year.
And then we had two locals there that I know of at least. We had James King. This is kind of funny. They're racing this weekend too. Yeah, so James King, who's there Sunday only, he got 62nd overall. A little bit of a rough day for him. And then he's running the Pro-Am class, and it was 13th there. And then Nathan Rector, kind of dusting off the cobwebs for this weekend. He was 43rd overall, 5th in Lights A on Saturday, and then 4th in Lights A on Sunday. So that's pretty good, I think. Now, one thing I was kind of surprised by is looking at the results for the National Enduro, and you kind of like look at them side by side almost. Is you had Stu Baylor, you had Evan Smith, and a few others, including Thorn, at the National Enduro, but I didn't see a lot of guys that I thought I would have seen at the National Enduro that were at the Sprint Enduro. Do you think that there's a kind of a shift of where the support from the factories are going to, or?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I know that the support for at the National Enduro was totally different, is what I was told for Sumter. I think it was Cole telling me that they didn't have
There's no
like,
there's no
semis or anything out there, which is totally different. I mean, I think I've been to like one national enduro. I think it might have been Tulsa, or I don't know. One of them didn't have very many semis, but usually like Sumter is huge, so there's usually all the semis there and all the vans and everything. So clearly something has changed in that way. I don't know exactly, but I do. It seems like guys either race almost like 2 series now, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
you got like 4 to choose from.
Yeah, I think the guys who are like the guys that are racing these full gas sprint enduros are probably going to race those in GNCCs if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised Stu's not racing the full gas. I don't.
So he's doing the GNCCs and the
national enduros, I guess. So it seems to me that everybody's just picking 2, and that may be support wise. That's all they're getting. So it's like you can maybe they let them go to the other races, but it's kind of on their own. So they're probably just choosing not to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which isn't a good thing, I don't think. I hope.
Well, it's not like it's losing popularity. I mean, the national enduros are more popular than ever. They're selling out. Well, actually, I don't know. Did you sign up or no? You didn't.
No, I signed Travis Renata up last night though.
What road did you get him on?
25.
25, and
he's with and this wasn't planned at all, but he's with Cody Barnes, James, Cole, and him are all on the same road.
Cody Barnes is an Iowa guy, right?
Yeah.
So
Illinois
area.
Yeah.
So
really fast, got 12th overall at the National Enduro. But those 3 should. I was telling Travis, I think those James and Cole should pull them along really well. So I think they'll all probably go pretty fast following Cody. And I was like, that's got to be the fastest road there.
So how do they? I mean, so you got 4 guys that are really close in speed.
Mm-hmm.
Do they kind of establish a pecking order before? Or how does that work? I mean, that first 100 yards.
It's really easy whenever you know people. Like everyone's speed.
So is there going to kind of be agreement, like Cody, then Cole, then whoever?
I would say so.
And then if somebody is having a tough day, they move to the back.
Yeah. I think. I mean, that's how it's always been with me. But like when you pull up to a line and you don't know the people and you don't know everyone's speed, it's kind of hard to just take off and know. But at least for them, they kind of have an idea of each other's speed. So I think it should be easier for them in that way. And then, you just swap spots.
Can you imagine being road 24 and like being a C guy and just having this freight train come by?
The good thing is if you look around those rows, it's usually the faster guys.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say that has to be the fastest row there.
Oh, man.
I mean, and then there's a women's elite rider on there too. So, I mean, I'm sure she's pretty fast too. So, that's a pretty fast row, but yeah, actually Travis and them, I guess, aren't very good at signing up, and Travis is always like really far back.
What Travis is saying is and kind of what you got to do is what I understand. I was talking to Noah Clark's mom a bit about it, is you got to pay with PayPal. Is that what you did?
Yeah. I mean, I've always done it for me and my dad or whatever, and I can just do it really fast. But yesterday, Rusty, Travis's dad, asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, just send me your login and password, and I was like, send me your PayPal, and they're like, or I said, or I can do it on mine, I don't care, and they're like, oh, we don't have PayPal, and I'm like, that is 90% of the reason why.
So, because Travis, he signed up, and he was right there at the beginning, right? But using a regular credit card.
So you got to type all that in, and they're doing it on a cell phone too.
Oh, on a cell phone.
So then you got to type the numbers in, and I'm like, no, you got to do it on a computer.
So they were started at 7:00, right on the start time, and he said it was like Travis got like row 102.
Yeah, I think he was 105.
105.
I think was his row, and so
they noped right out of that.
So yeah, they he was like, can Travis come over and film you doing it? I was like, sure, but I'll just tell him how to do it. But
PayPal's key.
PayPal's key, and the one thing that you want to do is I log into PayPal first, and then refresh it. Oh. So when it transfers over to PayPal, it's already loaded.
We're not giving trade secrets away here, are we?
Hey, I don't really care. I'm just trying to help you guys out.
Yeah,
but if you're signing up for them, that's the way to do it, because then it automatically goes over and you just hit pay. And now, yesterday, I don't know if everyone had a problem or not, but when I went to log Travis in, it logged me off of Live Labs completely. And then it waited like 30 seconds to log back in, and came on. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. And I like did the whole thing, and then he got on 25. So I think maybe everybody had a problem, or I talked to Cole. He said he had some sort of problem doing it.
Just overloaded. So how did it? I mean, they limited it to what? Is it 450 riders, or what was the?
No, I think it was more than
600?
that, but they definitely didn't sell out.
They didn't sell out.
It might be now, but I looked at like 9 o'clock because I signed him up, but I didn't look at row assignments.
Okay.
And so I looked to see who else was on the row, and I was like, oh, James and Cole are on there. But I looked at available rows and stuff, and I think it was around 400.
Oh, okay.
But like 80 and back still had open spots on
Okay.
them. So it wasn't quite like Sumter, and usually no race is quite like Sumter. Yeah, fast internet too. That definitely helps.
Yes.
That's what Travis was telling me. I guess they don't have super fast internet either. So I was like, dude, I'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's like a 2-minute process.
I'll
So.
charge you a $5 commission fee, and we'll go from there.
However, Cole made me do it one time, and I forgot.
Oh, okay. Or there's a risk you'll forget.
And I was like, he texted me like 15 minutes later and was like, what row did I hit? And I was like, I'll let you know in a minute.
It's not loaded
it's
yet.
It's not loading. He wasn't very happy.
I could imagine. Huh. So yeah, so I mean, they're not losing out in popularity. They're still a very popular event to go to. It's just you're not seeing as many factory teams for the first one.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe the money still is there, and they're just like logistically wise, maybe the semis aren't necessary, or it could be because they're only racing 2 series, so they don't want to. If all their riders aren't going to be there for KTM that weekend, they just take the van because it's you don't need
economics.
Semi.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, so let's get into this past weekend a bit. We said we were going to. So Westphalia. I don't know if you guys have watched my video from that race, but it was about 38 degrees at race time. I don't know what the weather was the day before, but I know for a fact it was like in the teens.
It was really cold.
Like the day before that, like on Friday, super cold. And I think it was below freezing the day before. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was all day and like all night leading up to it.
And then it kind of warmed up, boom, right before our race. It made for some interesting conditions.
Warmed up. It was warmer than before.
It was above freezing.
Yeah,
barely. And so that made for some really interesting conditions. Did you take a practice lap or a sight lap?
No, I actually I wasn't planning on it anyways. I was like, I know what it's going to be like. And I wasn't super pumped to do it in the first place. So I was like, if I go out and see beforehand what this is like, it may be worse. I was like, I'm just not even going to look at it. I didn't look at the start or anything.
No.
But we also stopped and ate, and we kind of thought it was a little bit closer than it was. So we didn't get there till like 11:30, and by the time I would have got gear on and anything, I don't even know if I could have road practice, but I wasn't planning on it anyways. But it's pretty straightforward once you got out there anyways. I mean, it's not like you're going
follow the trail
super fast somewhere and need to know where a line is. So
yeah,
it was a little like getting used to that.
There was one place in my practice lap where I kind of got where I thought I was going to go another way, but the trail wasn't. It was coming out of the woods, and there was like this big, wide, like 20-yard thing. I thought it halfway down the hill, it turned to the left.
Yeah.
Nope, go down the bottom of the hill. That was about the only time where I kind of got misdirected.
Yeah, I messed that up on my first lap, but other than that, it wasn't too big of a deal. And plus, the track I thought was completely different from like each lap. It got much worse.
It was kind of sketchy on the practice lap. Like you had to be real easy on the throttle because everything was still kind of frozen. Then it was kind of nice. Nice with big quotations here. Lap 1 and 2.
It kind of got broken through a little bit, the ice. And first and second lap, I thought weren't like great, but they weren't too bad.
And how many laps did you get in?
4.
Okay, so I got to make sure. Anyways, So yeah, so make sure we're talking about the same number of laps here. So yeah, for me, 1 and 2, you 1 and 2, same. It didn't get bad until lap 3 in my mind, where it seemed like that layer of traction that was on top of the frozen ground.
Yeah, it was kind of like some wet mud that helped, and then that got out of the way, and it definitely had a bottom to it, and it was kind of frozen under, and then it just got that slick, shiny dirt.
Oh man.
And I've always been a pretty good rider in grass tracks. Like I love grass tracks, and but I always like to ride the outside, like not in a main line. I like to go outside in corners. So anytime you did that and you hit grass, I almost crashed every single time. So it was like completely. There's a lot of places where it was like riding the opposite of what I would normally do.
Okay, because I didn't find anywhere. I mean, actually, so that's kind of the opposite for me. I felt like I had more traction when I got into the grass than I did in the main line. I don't know.
The main line, well, like, I thought the traction was okay in the main line. It just got real rough.
Of course, this could be just a matter of pure speed and my lack of speed and your speed.
Well, I mean, I guess, but the grass is, I feel like it's slick regardless. I mean, all the grass was frozen. There was a couple spots that I thought got better in the grass and the rest got worse.
Mm-hmm.
There was one corner that was like, you couldn't tell, and it was a solid sheet of ice. It was just coming out of the woods.
Hard right turn.
Right.
Yes,
I ate it on the first lap.
So Eric, the guy here at Loudmouth Presents, the bottom line. Yeah, I see him picking his bike off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, this is a slick corner. Take it easy. Don't do what he just did. And then I did the exact same thing because it's like there's these ruts that are kind of turning off to the left.
Yeah.
And we're turning to the right. And what I think's happening is our front wheel's pointing going where we want it to go.
Yeah.
And then our rear wheel just follows that other rut, and there it goes. And then it happened to me. So there's this kind of left-hand field with like a couple terraces in it, kind of going uphill a bit. Are you familiar with the kind of sweep and left-hand turn?
Yeah.
Were you able to push it very hard on that?
I just kind of rode.
Because this is maybe where I felt like it was super slick because I'm in the grass, and so I just didn't push it that hard. You may have been pushing it. That's why you're saying the grass was super slick.
Yeah. When I got out into the grass, I was usually going pretty fast. But like woods wise, I was just kind of trying to ride the same speed all day.
Yeah.
And not hit the ground because I was in third pretty much the whole day. And the last lap I was going across that field blast.
The big long straightaway, like
long
quarter mile.
straightaway, and I had hit that basically wide open all day. And I could always feel, the back end sliding a little bit. And then I was probably, going over 40 miles an hour, and I was on the ground.
Oh, you were? You crashed there?
Yeah, I crashed really hard, but I landed on my butt, and it was like,
so you kind of low slided it, or what'd you do?
The back end just went.
Okay.
And I actually went, like the bike kind of stopped, and I went over like the side of the bike, but I landed and I just slid like 100 feet on my butt, just like skiing. Like it really didn't hurt. I just had to run really far back to get to my bike.
Wow.
But the problem is it covered my seat in that mud and my grips, and I put my hands down. After that, it was not. I crashed like 10 more times just because I had no control over the bike. Like I would go into a corner and go to use my butt like to move the bike, and I would just slide, or like any of the slick uphills. I had no throttle control because my hand, and I would just slowly just be sliding off the bike, and then I'd have to get back up on it. And
because I did notice that, because just from standing up, you get that mud splatter on my butt
up under. Yeah.
And then I'd go to sit down, I feel like I'm sitting on ice.
Yeah.
And
it was.
And then your butt just kind of sliding all around. So I see exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah, me and Vince kind of passed each other back and forth a few times, and then I had got a little bit of a lead out in front of him. And then after that, he actually passed me when I was running back to my bike. And I never saw him again, but I didn't figure that I would, because I was going, 50% as fast at that point. I was like, just make it to the end.
You've been slimed.
Yeah, but it was like everybody keeps asking me if it was, fun and all that, and I'm like, It was fun because
It's
I did it like one time.
it's not. I wouldn't say it's fun. It's a lot of these races. Like for me, my totally not fun but totally memorable race would be my first 100-miler in 2015, where it just downpoured and it was like 35 degrees. Yeah, that was awful. But it's also one of my most memorable and like kind of races that, you know, I really actually, you know, 3 years down the road, I really enjoyed, you know.
Yeah.
Now it was miserable at the time, but it's something you can talk about later on.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about that race was, you know, if I had to do that all the time,
I'm out.
I would not enjoy it. But it's just like, you know, every once in a while to have something crazy like that. You ride totally different. Like it's not like your average race isn't the worst thing. And I usually do pretty decent in mud, but I felt
me
like
too. That wasn't mud. That was more ice than mud.
Yeah, it was riding very different than mud or anything really. It's but it was all right.
Yeah.
And cold.
Yeah. Did you wear any extra stuff or anything?
No, I never really do. I get hot. I was fine. Everything was fine except for my hands.
Oh, really? Oh, is that after you laid out? Your hands got cold, or were they cold before
The first
then?
lap, my hands got cold, and then it usually goes away for me, which it did. I don't know if they just go completely numb or what, but they were fine after that. And then the last lap, yeah, after I put my hands and I don't know if you remember that big water hole.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So, because you didn't do a sight lap, so you obviously didn't find it then.
Yeah, I hit it on the left side.
Left side.
Like not going around, but the left side in the water.
Because it's what it is. If you're at home and haven't seen the video, because I did point this hole out in my video. I'm like, see that hole? On a practice lap, I went on the right side just to see, right? Because on practice laps, how I treat it is take the chances, you know, see what's, if it seems like the main trail goes right, go left, you know, and just take the alternate line. And so, yeah, I tested out this hole. I went right, and I about buried my bike in that hole.
Yeah.
And so left was, I was curious about the left side. It was pretty deep too.
No, I mean, it was like, what were you going around it like on the left side?
No. So,
during the race?
During the race, I went far left all the way around it.
Yeah, see, I looked at that line and so like the first lap, I didn't really know it was coming, and I was going too fast at that moment to like slide it left and go around.
Yeah. So you went through it.
I went the left, so there's like two kind of puddles.
Yep.
I went on the left side and it was fine. And I did that the first 3 laps. And the fourth lap, I just I think there was a lapper there and I think he was going around left, but I couldn't really get into that left line, and I was like, well, it's probably the same over here.
Oh,
and
so you went on the right side.
Yeah, I went right through the right side, and I dumped it for a second, and I picked it back up, but my hands went into the water.
So you weren't expecting it to be that deep?
No, it was like tank deep, and then 1 foot over was like.
Oh, I see. I didn't. I went to the right in practice. I'm like, forget that hole.
Yeah, no.
I am avoiding it at all costs. Because I didn't test the left side.
Yeah, and it didn't look any different.
No.
I thought it would be fine, and it was not fine at all.
Oh.
I guess my dad told me he went in there too. I would assume more than one person probably went in there. So.
Oh yeah.
And that water was very cold because it was like pieces of ice in
there
it
was
too.
There was ice like inch thick. Like every puddle, like there was off to the side
Yeah,
if
like
we broke
chunks of
through it.
ice.
Was chunks of ice. And then so Rick Simmons here says that cedar tree bark works really well to clean the mud off the gloves. Have you tried that before?
No, but the time I crashed really hard, there was really no trees there.
Yeah, you're in the field.
I actually, the third lap, I got some mud on my grips and my hands. I just pulled in. Rusty Renaud was standing there. I just pulled in and they grabbed a paper towel and wiped my grips and my hands off. But it was still really slick. That mud was really, really slick no matter what, whether it was you riding on it or on your clothes or whatever. But yeah, it was an experience. And I'll have to try that tree bark. I have a pretty good I'm pretty good at finding those trees too. So.
I found a few last weekend.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to say before we got off is I mentioned a little bit about on the pegs. Have you heard? So you know who Shane Moore is?
Yeah.
So he takes photos. He's kind of like Darren Chapman as far as he's a lot of the races, and started following, well, I guess him, Shanmore himself on Instagram, and then On the Pegs magazine. Have you ever heard of that publication or?
I think I heard you talk about it.
Okay.
Maybe,
Or you're like,
maybe I'll know.
I get
but
enough
no.
dirt bikes at the store.
No, I would probably read it. I had never heard of it, no, until I think maybe you're with Noah, you might have mentioned
I
it
did.
or something. Yeah.
So I was going to say, because one thing I try to do is just try to find new and interesting social media, if that's what you guys are into, things to follow. And so that's one of the ones I found was On the Pegs magazine. And then a guy that I've known about for a while now is M. Raider Media. He does a lot of the GNCC stuff.
And Raider Films.
Yeah, he takes editing to a whole new level. I mean, as far as it looks, the tunes and everything, the whole package. So it's really good stuff. If you haven't seen him, he puts shorter clips on Instagram, and so it's M Raider, so MRADER.
He does a lot of the GNCC stuff, right? Yeah.
He does, and he did like a tour recently with like a lot of the top 10 guys, and just kind of spent a day with each guy, and then would put out little videos.
Yeah.
So, anyways, check that stuff out. And then, anything else, Chris?
Nope. Just go to Marionville Power Sports.
That's right, Marionville Power Sports. I know I'll be. I gotta get. Don't tell my wife, but I gotta get some sprockets and some tires, and I need to get. I need to get a good. I have like a Chirby skid plate, and I don't think it does enough to protect my ignition cover or like water pump. And I want to get one that's easily removable, and yet good protection.
Yeah.
So
I'm running E-Line right now, skid plates. I don't know if you know Ron Rabolzi. He owns that company now. He's out of St. Louis. He's really good friends with me and my dad.
Okay.
He bought that company maybe 2 years ago, and
So is it a Missouri company, or he just happens to live in St. Louis?
Well, I mean, it is now.
It is now.
He bought it from somebody else, but yeah, they. I know James was up there, toured like where the warehouse and
facility
is. But yeah, it's a carbon fiber skid plate.
Yeah. I'm familiar with them because when I had my two-stroke, I was always looking at pipe guards.
Yeah,
and
Ron Rabolzi, who owns it, is he did all the molds and stuff. We sent him.
Oh, the bikes.
Yeah, he actually was just down at the shop last week taking a mold of a bike, and then like we sent him all of our.
What does he do? Like take plaster and like stick it on there? Or?
I think he was just measuring that bike, but I know we sent him like all of our pipes and headers and stuff for him to make pipe guards and things like that. But it's a great skid plate, and then I ran.
Are they pretty easily removable?
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, so there's two that are really easily removable. It's E-Line and then I ran the Cycra, which is really similar to the
that's plastic then, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's really similar to the Achurbis that you have. Just it's thicker and a little bit bigger, but has like really awesome mounts. Where they actually stay on the frame.
Oh, they do.
They have that pretty cool way. You just kind of have to see it, but the mounts both stay on the frame, and you just pull the plastic bolts out, and then and that way it's always in the same spot. You don't have to wiggle the mounts and get them right and stuff like that.
Because that's like I've always used Enduro engineering in the past, and I'm like, I wish they would, because you got to kind of line it up each and every time.
Yeah.
And then it's like the Churbys I have is halfway that way. The front one in front of the motor is fixed, but the two bottom ones you always got to kind of jiggle with.
And then the E-Line is probably even easier because it has one mount in the front that stays on the frame.
Yep.
And then just the one that curls over in the back. And I actually take the front one out, loosen the bottom one, and slide it all the way sideways, change my oil, and slide it back. I don't actually even have to take it off. So,
really?
Yeah. Which
I take mine off to wash the bike because it just seems like they collect a lot of dirt underneath there.
Yeah, I wish we were better at cleaning bikes. Me and the Underwood clan is not known for...
I'm right there with you, because my opinion is water is not good for your bike. It's just less bad than mud.
Exactly. And the worst part is our bikes are at the shop all the time, and we're still not... Oh. It's not just bikes. It's like our gear and stuff all the time. Like Cole's always on me about it, because he's always he's perfectly clean all the time, and like I don't ever wash my boots or anything like that. But I'm like, dude, they're just gonna get dirty again. Why? I mean, different people.
Well, I'll be at Maryville Power Sports here. I'll probably call you tomorrow, and then I'll be there early next week to pick it up. So
Awesome.
Chris, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
It's a good time.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening, however you're listening or consuming this stuff. And subscribe. Hit there's a notification thing that you can hit so that when we go live in the future, you'll be like, hey, it's 8 o'clock on a Thursday. I should, it'll send you a little thing and ding and let you know there's something live coming on. And you can check in that way. And then, of course, podcast, follow it on your favorite podcast way. And that's how if I wasn't sitting here doing this right now and just wanting to listen, I'd follow it just like when I'm driving to work or commuting during work. I can catch up that way and what's going on in the world. So anyways, Chris, thank you. Everybody out there, thank you. And we'll see you later. Bye.